The Iowa Hawkeyes take on the USC Trojans in what is a collision of football philosophies. This is 3:30 Eastern Time on CBS. Lincoln Riley against Phil Parker. Sign me up for that matchup any day of the week and twice on Saturdays. Question number one, can Iowa's run defense get back on track? Now, the identity of this Iowa team and this defense has long been stopping the run and being super physical along the line of scrimmage. And going into the game last week against Oregon, they were giving up under 84 yards per carry. And then that identity against the Ducks was shattered. Oregon, they were able to push the Hawkeyes off the ball. They were able to gash the Hawkeyes at the point of attack. And the Ducks, they played the game in perfect Iowa conditions, rainy, chaotic conditions, and they kind of out-Iowa'd Iowa, right? Very, very uncomfortable to watch it, frankly, when you're so used to seeing Iowa just hold the point all the time. They gave up 261 rushing yards in the performance. They went from a top 10 unit to now 16th against the run just on one performance alone. And Oregon running back Noah Whittington, he had 118 yards, and they were able to consistently produce not chunk plays, but very productive runs. He had 7 rushes, and this Oregon team had 7 different rushes that went for 10 yards or more. If you look at the 27-yard burst that they allowed at the end of the half, that was just the second rush given up by Iowa this year that went for more than 20 yards. And against SC, people still think of SC and Lincoln Riley teams as a group that just wants to throw it all over the yard. They are not a one-dimensional passing attack. They have a very formidable top 25 rushing offense. They go for over 200 a game on the ground. And it centers around King Miller, who began the year as a walk-on and was thrust into the starting lineup because of a wave of injuries. And the running back room has really flourished. And King Miller has seized the opportunity. He currently leads the Trojans with over 630 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. He was a little bit banged up, but don't expect it to be anything long-term. Think he'll be ready to roll in this matchup. Question number 2, can Iowa's offense control the pace by running the football? Now, Iowa has an elite offensive line, and I think they can win against this defensive line. I do think this SC defensive line is a little underrated. You'll look at the numbers and you'll disagree with me, but I'll explain why here in just a minute. If they can consistently create run lanes for Gronowski, their quarterback, and their running back, Kamari Moulton, then Iowa will be able to execute kind of that boa constrictor game plan that they've used with great success for as long as Kirk Ferentz has been there. And Gronowski is a 235-pound, short yardage, physical runner. He's a lot like Tim Tebow, frankly, when he runs the football. And the offense is going to be big, and he's going to have to factor in this game. He goes for over 300 yards on the ground this season with 11 rushing touchdowns. So this is going to be kind of a grinded out type of game for Iowa. You want 15-play, 8-minute drives that just bleed the clock, that keep this game in the teens. And more importantly, you keep Lincoln Riley's second-ranked offense sitting over there on the sidelines. I just referenced, though, that SC's defensive line, I don't think they're a liability. Some of the challenges that they've had in stopping the run this year have actually come because linebackers and safeties have not fit the run appropriately. So while you look at the stats, they're 61st right now, giving up over 140 yards a game on the ground. I think those are a bit skewed because of some really bad run fits at times. So if they can be sound in this game, if they can kind of abandon responsibility in the pass game and be sound, I think it might be tougher for Iowa to run the football than you might imagine. Question 3, can USC's offensive line provide time for Mayava? Now, Iowa's defense is designed to be really patient. They want to keep things in front. They want to try to confuse quarterbacks with coverages and different zones, and then all of a sudden looking like man, playing zone, looking like zone, playing man. They want to create confusion, and they want to force a quarterback to beat them by taking check down after check down after check down. And then hopefully on a 13, 14 play drive, eventually the drive stalls out, you settle for a field goal. Well, USC's offense is built on providing a clean pocket for their quarterback. And Mayava's been great this year. I mean, he has been really good, especially when the pocket's been clean. Even though the offensive line for SC has had to use some different combinations because they've had some injuries, they've been very good in pass protection throughout. They've allowed just 10 sacks in 9 games. And given how often Jaden Mayava is kind of running around, that's a pretty impressive number. So if you give him time, even against really disciplined coverage, these elite wide receivers like Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane, they're eventually going to find some openings, and they're eventually going to create some things downfield that Iowa will be trying to defend all game long. Question 4, can Iowa manufacture hidden yardage and or points with their special teams? Now, no analysis of an Iowa football game is complete without a deep dive into special teams, because they have a return specialist in Caden Wetchin, who is amazing. And in a high-stakes game last week against Oregon, Iowa's special teams made a very uncharacteristic blunder. They've snapped it over the punter's head. Now, I'm not anticipating sub 40-degree temperatures and rain, but if special teams is a problem for Iowa, there's very few pathways for them to find victory. However, if special teams is a benefit to Iowa, then a single return from Wetchin could be one of the biggest changes in momentum of the game, because he's a threat every single time he catches a punt to go 70 to the house that could flip the game on its head. I'm going to take a really good swing at this game because I love what I saw last week from Iowa. I love it. I think they were physical. They were outstanding. They had every opportunity to potentially win the game. They just couldn't quite close the door, and you tip your cap to Oregon for finding a way to win that game with the walk-off field goal. Iowa right now is on a baffling 12-game losing streak against ranked opponents. They have not beaten someone that was ranked since 2021. However, everybody continues to question SC's toughness. I don't know why, but this game feels a lot like Michigan to me. I think SC will be up to the challenge. I'm going to take the Trojans. I'm going to lay the points. I think it's going to be tough for Iowa to do it again after the disappointment of last week losing on their home field.